What are you doing, Marv?
Mary, don't move.
Marv?
Don't move.
Marv, what are you doing? Marv.
Did I get him? Did I get him? Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, never mind it, you get it. How do you like it, huh? You jerk! Get the kid for a...
Hey everybody, welcome to another Full Empire Promotions live event. I'm Dominic. I'll be your host for this special Q&A with Kassie DePaiva. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks so much to everyone who's watching us live. If you have any question or would like to leave any comments for Kassie, please feel free to do so, and we'll get to those during the broadcast. If you'd like to have your own private conversation with Kassie, following this Q&A, she'll be doing one-on-one video meet and greets on Zoom. You can have 5 minutes to chat with Kassie about whatever you'd like, and we'll even send you a recording of your meeting. In addition, personally signed photographs and video greetings from Kassie are available at fullempirepromotions.com. Sales for the Zoom sessions will end in about 1 hour. So if you're interested in that, you have until about 5 p.m. Eastern to book your Zoom session. The autographs and video greetings will remain available until further notice. I'm excited to welcome our guest today. You probably know her as Bobby Joe from Sam Raimi's classic Evil Dead 2, or Blair Kramer on One Life to Live in General Hospital. She also played Eve Donovan on Days of Our Lives, as well as appearances on Guiding Light, Melrose Place, and Baywatch. Recently, she had a small but memorable role in the cult horror film We Are What We Are, and guest starred on Castle. I'm excited to welcome a dear friend, beautiful soul, talented musician, and a gifted actress, Kassie DePaiva.
Wow, you make me sound like I'm like something special.
You are.
Thank you, Dom, for having me. This is great.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really, really well. I'm up in the Catskills. The leaves are changing. It's gorgeous. We had a frost last night, so that brings on the golden leaves. But it's great. You know, we've been up here quarantining since probably March, and you know, every month we think, well, it's going to get better, and I guess it's not. So it's not a bad place to be.
No, I'm in Philly, you know, and I'm more than happy to be on the East Coast. When I look at what's going on in California, it's 100 degrees and everything's on fire. So,
and you have a lot of friends there behind you that keep you company.
I do. I was actually doing some reading, you know, before the Q&A. I didn't realize you needed both eyeballs to make youth serum. But, you know.
Well, one of them swallowed, so there you go.
So, have you been watching any TV or binging anything during quarantine?
I've watched a lot of stuff because I really am not a television watcher. My husband will stay up to the wee hours of the night watching all kinds of stuff. But I guess, I mean, I've really watched a lot now that you've asked me. I'm totally going blank. But what I'm watching right now is *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's I'm in the 4th season of it, and that I find that really enjoyable. But I can sit and watch 2 episodes, you know, not every night, but I mean, I watch football and things like that. Thank goodness we're able to watch football and have a couple of sports. But yeah, I don't sit and watch. Wake up every morning like a different generation does and watch television all day. I can't do it.
Right. It's funny. The first thing I watched during quarantine was The Stand.
Was it good?
Well, it's a pandemic film. So the world ending. Stephen King. Yeah, Stephen King movie. Anyway.
Kind of life imitates art and art imitates life at times.
Absolutely. Well, I understand you were born right outside of Louisville in Kentucky. Did you grow up watching films and TV and being a film fan?
Well, we didn't have a TV growing up. I'm joking. I grew up not really outside of Louisville. I grew up about 3 hours or 3.5 hours from Louisville in a small town called Morganfield, Kentucky. And I mean, I did watch television when we would run home after school and watch Dark Shadows, Gilligan's Island. I probably saw every episode of that. And then, you know, at 5 o'clock when the news would come on, we would do whatever we did. And then I watched Carol Burnett show, whatever those wonderful 60s and early 70s variety shows. I loved those. And of course,
right.
Disney and whatever, but no. But I guess I would say I am not a huge movie buff. You know, I haven't watched a lot of movies. And for one, I don't know, maybe I've got a mental illness or something, but I can't remember movies. Like my son can watch a movie and he can quote it the next day, and maybe it's a guy thing, but I'll go, I can't even remember what happened, you know, what I wore yesterday, and he can but I don't remember stuff. And a lot of people do. You're good at that.
Yeah, certain films. Yeah, I mean, I can quote Jaws from beginning to end.
I was thinking that one.
Yeah. So, was your initial career goal to be an actress?
No, I didn't really. I have been unbelievably blessed. I grew up singing in church and in 4-H talent shows, and I always thought it was something that I would grow out of. Because, little Kassie, she's going to get and sing for us. And like when I was 13, I was paid to sing at a wedding, and I went like, you can get paid? Well, okay, I'll stick with it a little bit. And then in junior high and high school, we had a really great speech and debate team, and I was involved very heavily, and even went to nationals doing dramatic interpretation and duet acting and things like that. And I realized that acting is probably, it just kind of came naturally to me.
Did you have any sort of inspirational people that you remember that kind of pushed you to go for it? Or was it just a self-made decision?
It wasn't self-made. You know, I was always doing skits and stuff, and on the front porch of our house, we'd sell tickets and, you know, sing in the neighborhood and do things like that, putting on shows. But my high school coach, Judy Woodring, was a huge influence for me, because in high school, I had the tendency to maybe go down the wrong. I could have gone down a really bad path and just kind of hung out in my hometown and gotten into a lot of trouble. But she, with these debate tournaments and these speech tournaments every weekend, it's like learning a script every week. So you'd had to have the discipline to get out there and compete. And if I didn't want to do a tournament, she says, well, then you're not going to be able to get to go to regionals. And so, and then from regionals, you go to states, and states to nationals. And I went to nationals 2 years in a row, but you had to be on your game. So I couldn't slough it off. And that discipline that was instilled in me back in the day gave me the discipline to learn the pages and pages of dialogue that I've had to learn over my 30-year span of soap operas.
Yeah. Well, your first film credit was a big one. You played Bobby Joe in Evil Dead 2.
Who knew, Dom? Who knew that was going to still have legs after 28 years, whatever it is.
So I'm guessing you hadn't seen the first film when you became attached to this.
No. I did watch it on VHS after I'd already gotten it. And I'm thinking, holy cow, because it was really different than Dead 2. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it'll be a little bit, production skills will be a little bit better, but you know, you totally can see how much fun that, you know, Sam brings to his films.
Absolutely.
And I was just grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah. Did you laugh when you first read the script?
Yeah, but you know, horror films, you don't really realize how funny, or you didn't realize how funny it was until Bruce Campbell brought Ash alive. I mean, dialogue sometimes doesn't translate until it's actually performed and executed. And it was, Evil Dead 2 is so funny.
It really is. It may be one of the earliest, horror comedies. Yeah. Do you remember your audition for the film?
I do. Jimmy was asking me about that the other day. And I said, yeah, I remember it was I want to say there was a thing called Faces International back in it was kind of a seedy kind of thing where people would go and audition. And that's where I guess they had come out from Michigan to audition people in Los Angeles. And, I went up holding my script, my picture and resume. And, they ask you questions. You kind of did an improvisation, and I had to scream and act like I was scared, and I hid behind a chair. And then I got a call back, and then it's like, can you put on 20 pounds because we want you to be really butch? And I'm like going, oh, that's going to be kind of hard. But I ended up getting the part. I just kept telling them, I can do this, because I had never done any other than my high school stuff. And I'd studied theater in college, but I had not done any, and I'd done some commercials, but I had not done any legitimate films. And, who knew that it would be such a blockbuster?
Right. Who knew? Yeah. Well, you had a great cast of co-stars, including Bruce Campbell. What was your first memory of Bruce? Your first impression of him?
Bruce was really he is a super guy, but he was so overwhelmed and busy when we were shooting that movie that you really didn't get quality one-on-one with him, because they were cramming 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag every day. And it was hot. It was hot in North Carolina. And not only was he carrying the, 98% of the dialogue in the movie, he was also producer and keeping the whole wheel turning. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
That's dog barking out there.
Yeah, they must be Evil Dead fans. I'm getting excited. Well, you had most of your scenes were with the late, very great Danny Hicks. Did you feel you had good chemistry on screen with Danny?
I did. Danny is and was such a dear human being. And once again, when you're on a set, everybody's concentrating on doing their performances and doing whatever. But I got to know Danny probably the most on my events with you. The first time when we reconnected, because we were both older and we both had pseudo careers and we had fond memories. But when you're working on a set, you don't have the time to, I mean, I don't think I was there for, about 2 weeks. So it's we were doing night shooting. I mean, we socialized a little, but, not so much. But as adults or as, more seasoned and then reconnecting at these events, we sign autographs beside each other all day long and we'll be like, rah, 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 and I was so saddened to hear about his illness, and I was truly saddened that he passed. And for all the people that didn't get to meet Danny Hicks, he's a sweetheart, toothless and all.
Yeah, he really is. He had, and his sense of humor was so great.
Yeah.
I think he sort of brought the humor into the cast, because he was this redneck that you wanted to hate, but he was just so cartoonish, that you had to gravitate towards him.
Yeah, and he was fearless that way. He didn't care about coming off looking stupid or unattractive. I mean, he was like, this is me, this is it, whatever you need to make this film. And so I learned a lot from that. I mean, because when you don't know what you're doing on a set, you tend to be guarded. But this guy was not guarded whatsoever, which allowed everybody around him to be free as well.
Absolutely. Well, we miss you, Danny.
Yeah.
I want to mention a few other co-stars: Rick Delmeyer, Sarah Berry, and Ted Raimi. Rick eventually gets possessed and starts eating your hair. How difficult was that scene to film?
All we remember, and if you talk to all of these actors, all we remember, it was hot. And so everybody was in costume and had prosthetics on. That scene, which you did a great job with all the clips and stuff and showing what you just did. So thank you for that. But, for me, it was more like, okay, I know in this scene, all I have to do is scream, ah! I don't have to memorize 10 pages of dialogue. I remember with Sarah, it's so funny now that I can memorize like crazy from doing my soap work, but I remember going, I'm glad I'm not Annie, because I couldn't learn all those words.
How about karma?
I know.
Yeah, that's another thing that was impressive about Evil Dead 2. There were no CGI back then, and some of the scenes, looked so good. I mean, Rick floating in the air and the eyeball, shooting, coming out and going in your mouth. Was that shot in reverse?
Yes, most of my fine acting on that show, on that movie, was done in reverse. The vines going up that all that was acted opposite. So the tear, instead of it like attacking me this way, it was pulling up. So it was weird. I would do it, and then I guess they would rewind and see it, and we would watch it, but trying to figure that out, because your body moves differently in a forward direction, and when you try to you want it to look natural,
right?
But the eyeball was shot in like 4 different angles. They have you have the shot of the eyeball popping out of her mouth, Aunt or Grandma Henrietta or whatever her name is, and then you have of it on the dowel, And then you have me with the mouth open and it going in my mouth. Well, that's the reversed angle shot. It started with, it was this nasty gelatin eyeball, something, I don't know, painted or whatever. And it was covered with like KY jelly or something gross. And it was in my mouth and it had a string on it. And it was more like, ah! And then I had to scream as if, but they cut it together and it looked real. But you do stuff like that and you kind of go, oh, I hope it worked. I hope it worked.
It worked. Totally worked. Well, I do want to mention that some of the film had some amazingly talented effects artists who went on to have huge careers, like Mark Shostrom, Greg Nicotero, Robert Kurtzman, Howard Berger. Did you have much interaction with the effects guys on set? Or were they just busy all the time?
I did. I had interaction with them, especially prior to production. I went out. They had their little outside trailer studio warehouse was in Pasadena or out in Eagle Rock or someplace out in Los Angeles. And I had to go because when Bobby Joe is drugged through the woods by the tree, I had to have my head thing done, both arms and legs, because I had to do my body. And then my face, because the vines they had to do. So I had all of that. I spent a long, 2 full days in there when they did the plaster Paris of my body.
Wow. Were you bummed you didn't get to become a Deadite and kill somebody?
Well, I kept thinking that, maybe, with the Ash versus Evil Dead, that they were going to have Bobby Joe come back as the burning bush or something. Since I was right by the tree, but no, that didn't happen.
Yeah, didn't get creative enough.
No.
Do you recall the first time you saw Evil Dead 2 with an audience?
Yes, I do. It was hilarious. Sam was in New York, and it was released, I want to say, in October. Do you remember when it was released?
I know it was 86.
Okay, it was 86. But anyway, it was in Times Square. And it's the first time I had ever really been to a theater where people talk at the theater. You go to sit movies, regular movies, and people just, watch a movie and, hear them eating popcorn and doing whatever. Well, when you're in a horror film, they're like, don't go in there! Stop it! Times Square it was huge. And I had just started on the guiding light, and there was a woman in front of me sitting, and she goes, oh my God, that's Chelsea from the guiding. It was so weird because also when you shoot a movie, I had shot that movie probably 8 months prior to that. So, the time frame is so different. I mean, I've got a movie out right now, a little bitty movie that I just did called Killian and the Comeback Kid. I shot 3 years ago. So it's, my hair's it was right after I had gone back to Days after I'd gotten sick with cancer. So my hair is really short. And, but it's like, you think, wow, is that ever going to come out? And then finally it did. And it's, it's like, that seemed like so long ago. It's, for most people, it's just people are first now laying their eyes on it. So.
Right. People don't realize everything that has to be done behind the scenes.
Right.
In your opinion, why do you think Evil Dead 2 is considered such a classic within its genre?
Because it's truly timeless. It doesn't. It had a feeling of retro anyway, with the car and put a cabin in the woods with teenagers, and it's just classic. But I do believe that the humor is what makes it stand alone, and I think Bruce Campbell's acting, and of course Sam's directing, and the soundtrack is fantastic, and it's just all those pieces come together, and it's memorable. Now I don't really think my character's that memorable, but I'm really glad that I can be here and talk about it now. But that movie was about Ash's journey. So
Yeah. No, I think your character is memorable. I mean, you were in some of the most, the best scenes in the film. So I think it's definitely
hot down there.
exactly, exactly. And also, I think the film has not only comedy, but it's the perfect blend, of horror and comedy to make it special and make it, unique and stand the test of time.
Oh yeah, I mean, even like that Geico commercial now, where they do the horror film, and the people goes, why don't you want to go in? Why do you want to get in the? Why don't you go here? No. Why don't we just get in the car? No, let's go hide in the shed with the chainsaws. I mean, it's right out of Evil Dead. No,
Right.
So funny.
Martin's watching along, and he says, "Question for Kassie: Did you have a chance to see the documentary Hail to the Deadites?"
No, I have not seen it.
Yeah, I don't think it's out yet. I think it's doing the festival circuits now. And you actually, you recorded that, your part in that when we did that convention in Cincinnati. I think it was like 2014.
Yeah, that's a long time ago. So I don't even remember what I said.
Yeah, well, you'll find out. They'll probably send you a copy of it.
You seen it, Martin?
Yeah, it's screening at festivals now. I saw a little bit of it. I saw clips of it. It looks they did a great job with it.
Oh, good. Well, it's there is such a huge following, so
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be, hopefully when it comes out, Dominic, you'll let me know and I can check it out.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Great.
Well, before and after Dead 2, you became a soap opera legend. If I'm reading this correctly, you appeared in nearly 2,000 episodes of soap operas. How did you first get introduced to the soap world?
I think I've done more than 2,000 episodes.
Wow, I'm sure you have.
I don't know. I got introduced to it. I came back from doing Evil Dead 2, and a week later I auditioned for The Guiding Light, and I had like 3 callbacks for that, and I got it. And I was already back. That was in Los Angeles, and I moved to New York to shoot The Guiding Light, and that's when the movie Evil Dead was released. So that's why I got to see it in New York as opposed to Los Angeles. But that's how I got turned on to the soap world, and I've just been really fortunate that I've had a career doing that. And I get to act almost every day, so it's been great.
Yeah, well, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but did you find it difficult to train yourself to memorize the mountain of dialogue you get with a soap?
It's stressful. I mean, to me, acting is stressful. Sometimes you think, does it get easier with time? It gets easier, but I put a lot of pressure on myself. So, and I want to do it well. So learning lines, when you start to put pressure on yourself and you start panicking, you stop breathing. And when you stop breathing, you can't remember anything. So the best thing, what I have to do is I have to constantly just calm myself down and just stay in the moment and know my dialogue back and forth before I walk in the building every morning. So the last thing I have to do is worry about my lines.
Yeah, well, they say any actor who does soaps for a long time is never going to get Alzheimer's or dementia.
Well, I can't remember anything right now. So, but that might be from drinking too much. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, what were we talking about? No.
I don't know.
Well, you guest starred on a number of TV shows as well, including Baywatch and Melrose Place. At one point in your career, were you aiming to get away from the soaps?
Yes. When I left Guiding Light, that was in New York, and I just wasn't into living in New York, and I wanted to move back out to Los Angeles because that's where I had been from I guess 81 to 86. I had transferred to UCLA, but I was out on the road singing with Bobby Womack. I had this whole musical thing going, but I liked Los Angeles. I liked that California, getting in a car, go to the grocery store, beautiful weather. I mean, I loved it. New York was just, I felt like I had no life when I lived in New York because all I did was get up in the morning and I went to work and I came home, get up, whatever. So I left Guiding Light thinking I would go and do possibly get some nighttime TV stuff. And CBS offered me a development deal for about 6 weeks, and nothing came out of that. But I did get, a couple of episodic stuff, and then I had previously been married when I was married then, and my marriage was not good, and I wanted to get back into the soaps, and so because I needed to make money, it was like 2 years that I went without doing soap opera work between Guiding Light and One Life to Live. But then One Life to Live, I auditioned for it, got it, moved back to New York, and that was in 1993, and that's kind of where I was for 18, 19 years. That ended.
Yeah.
And then Days kind of fell in my lap, was offered that role, and something that was supposed to only last 2 years was spread out over 6, so it was good.
Yeah, 254 Cullen is watching and says, if One Life to Live does get a revival, where do you see Blair in today's times? In the Catskills in New York?
Yeah, there it is. I would like to see if One Life to Live was ever rebooted again. I would hope that she would be a really savvy businesswoman, stirring trouble up, but really strong. And who knows, maybe she could be the first female president of the United States.
Yeah. Well, you think that'd be called Another Life to Live?
Yeah, Another Life to Live. Yeah.
AT says, which character was your favorite and why? I guess out of the soaps.
Oh, gosh. Well, Eve certainly has been a challenge, and she is wackadoodle. Blair's slice of life. I loved bringing her to the canvas every day. And I grew up actually with Blair in me. I met my husband on that show. I had JQ while I was there, and I met really wonderful, wonderful, wonderful friends. I liked all the parts for different reasons. And people always go back in the day would go, well, how come you haven't got branched out and done more movies? I said, well, because they hadn't fired me from my show yet. When they fire me, I'll go look for another job. So I'm not working now. So if anybody out there knows, I'll come and work for them.
Yeah, well, Greg Nicotero, who did a lot of the effects in Evil Dead 2, he's making a TV series now based on Creepshow, the George Romero and Stephen King film, filming in Atlanta, and I think you'd be great on that. So you gotta get on that.
Tell him. Give you attention.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to get on that.
Yeah.
They're filming that in Atlanta, but he's using a lot of genre actors, for the episode. So.
Oh, that's great. Well, I have family in Atlanta. I'll come hang out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some of your co-stars on One Life to Live included Michael Easton, Kristen Alderson, and Melissa Archer. Did you bond with anyone offset?
I bonded with a lot of people offset. I mean, when you're working so closely with that kind of cast, it doesn't, it's not like a movie where there's a beginning, middle, and end. It's every day you go back in and you work with these people. And do I hang out with them every day? No. But when I do see them, it's just like, it's like me. It's like seeing family. You want to give them a hug. I do keep up with Kristen and Robin Strasser from One Life to Live. Hillary Smith, I just was texting with her the other day. Tuck Watkins. There are people and Nathan Purdie that I did the movie with. His son wrote this movie, so Nathan and I played husband and wife for this movie. So we've been in contact recently. But yeah, that show was really wonderful, and I was really sorry, and I'm still saddened that ABC was so short-sighted to cancel it.
Yeah, well, you never know. These things have a way of working out and coming back. So we'll see. On average, how long does it take to film an episode of a soap? Is it a fast process?
Well, It is when you think about nighttime shows. Nighttime show, you'll take an hour-long script and it'll 10 to 14 days to shoot it. We would shoot an hour-long script in from start taping at 8:30 and be finished by 4:30. So I mean, it's very, very fast.
How would you say working on a soap is different from a film set or an episodic set? Is there any difference?
The pace, absolutely the pace. More than anything, it's the pace of it, and
Right.
then the setups. We use three cameras, whereas a nighttime show they'll use one camera and change the setup. So then they'll do the master shot, then they'll do the 2 shot, and then the 1 shot. So to shoot 1 page of dialogue might take 5 hours, whereas we'll shoot a whole 3-page scene in 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Right. In all your years of doing soaps, were there any actors who were on the shows that you were on but you didn't get to work with that you wish you would have?
There are actors that I wish I hadn't had a chance. No, I'm joking. There are, yeah, I guess there were. I mean, there are people that, just based, when I was on The Guiding Light, the men that were, I was 25, but the men that were 40 were such fantastic actors. Jerry Verdorn, who ended up being on One Life to Live, and I actually got to really work with him then. But yeah, maybe them. I feel like I got to work with everybody, even though I didn't have scenes with them. It is such a group effort, so we're all there really supporting each other. So
Very cool. Kelly Ann Moulin is watching. She says, how does it feel to be a part of one of daytime's legendary super couples in Todd and Blair?
Yeah, well, Cammie is a huge Todd and Blair fan from One Life to Live. And we're probably only a super couple, Cammie, is because you were such a big supporter. So, but of course it was great to be a part of that. And it was great to live the up and downs as Blair through the tumultuous relationship that she had with Todd. But they were a great couple, a very interesting family for daytime, because they were not the typical, they were more of their own little horror show. So it was fun.
Yeah. Well, you had a small but memorable part in the cult horror film We Are What We Are. How did this role come about, and were you excited to return to the horror genre?
I got the audition through my agent, but I know that Jim Mickle only probably even considered me because of Evil Dead 2. So I was grateful, and they shot it up here in the Catskills. So it's one of those things that they didn't have to put me up, or they got a little bonus. So it wasn't like they had to fly me in anywhere and whatever. But that movie was hard. That first scene where I had to drown and stuff, I'm like going, holy cow. And up here, we shot it on Memorial Week, and that's cold. It was really cold.
It had that drab kind of depressing, rainy vibe.
Yeah, it was. But I thought that movie was fantastic. I thought that it had it was beautifully shot, great story. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a slow burn, high tension horror piece. It, as I said, had a depressing vibe, and it packed a strong punch in the end. That's for sure.
Yeah.
With the twist. Did you spend much time on set, or was it a quick shoot? Did you get to interact with Michael Parks or Bill Sage, any of the other actors on set?
I did. Michael Parks. I was laying on the. My character was dead, so I was laid out with all my guts spilled open while he had all the dialogue and stuff. So I definitely got to spend some time in that at that time. And then, but Bill Sage and I didn't get to work together because our scenes weren't together. But I did. I think he's such a fabulous actor. Such a fabulous actor.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Well, you returned to soaps playing Eve Donovan on Days of Our Lives for many years. Would you say there's a difference in this soap from the other soaps that you did? Or did it just feel like the same process?
It's different because I felt like my participation on Days of Our Lives I felt that I was kind of temporary there always. With Blair, she was such the Mannings were such a staple, and they were rooted. Eve, just by the craziness of her character, she kind of came in and out because she stirred up trouble. So she just carried a big spoon and stirred stuff up. So whenever they need somebody to cause some trouble, they have my character come in. But on One Life to Live, there were people that came into Blair's life and stirred trouble. So I mean, it's playing more of a supporting role on Days of Our Lives, which I don't have any problem doing that either. So
yeah, well, you did it for a long time, so
I did.
Especially considering you're only 40 now.
I know. It's amazing how time slows down.
Right? Kathy P is watching. She says, why don't you and Jimbo do a reality show, Thrills in the Catskills?
Oh, that's a really good idea. We'll probably have you and Cammie will watch, Kathy. I want to send my best to Mama P, okay? That's her mama's in the hospital. So
get well, Mama P. So Kassie, I have to ask, working on soaps, what keeps it fresh for you? Is it the love of acting, or is it just love, you love watching soaps? What keeps it fresh and keeps you motivated to do it?
I don't know. I really think I specifically like the genre. I like the speed of it. I like the ensemble work. I like the lack of repetition because you're not, every day you open up the script and you're doing something. It's challenging, and I like that. I like working really hard, and that there's a huge sense of satisfaction when you get in your car at night driving home going, dang, I pulled that off. They bought it. So it's very satisfying, but it is stressful. I've been 5, 4, 3, 2. I'm like, and then I just get out and do it. And then after every scene, I'm like, okay, all right, what's next? Okay, what are my lines? Okay, here we go. I'm ready. Yeah,
well, I think you have to have good work ethics to be in a soap that long.
You have to have really great work ethics to continue to be on a soap opera because time is money, and you can't hold anybody can't hold up. They usually don't stay there very long. Right.
Well, I do want to mention your music. You've got a great bluegrass, Winehouse sort of nuance to your music. How much time do you spend with music? Do you write a lot?
No, I'm joking. I love music. I listen to a lot of music. My last album, I Want to Love You, I think I put it out on a record label. Well, I just took my last truckload of CDs to the garbage dump because I always sell them at the events and stuff, but people stream now. Nobody wants to buy any CDs. So about 10,000 CDs. So I'm sitting over in the at the transfer station. That's what they call the dump here. And I've got my mask on and going in the back of the truck. We have to undo the boxes and then dump them and fold the boxes up and put them in another place. And a woman goes, well, I know her. She plays that evil witch on Days of Our Lives. And I'm going, whoop, that would be me. Oh my gosh. So she stood there for about 10 minutes, so excited to talk about the soaps and my music. And I ended up I said, would you like a CD, a box, a truckload? Let me know. But my music's important to me. I don't have the opportunity to perform. I loved singing. What I loved most about the final part of the singing career was singing with the Daytime Divas, and that's when I sang with Bobby Eakes and Kathy Breyer, and that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Great. Well, it's perfect time. This year is a perfect time to get some writing done.
I know, but it all be on gloom and doom, man. It's like, oh, I ate a pizza, drink a beer.
Well, do you have any projects coming out or anything you've worked on recently that you want to mention?
Well, the only thing that's out right now in the theaters is Killing and the Comeback Kid. I've tweeted about it. My stint on Days of Our Lives has ended as it stands now. I guess my character's in jail or a mental institution. I'm not sure. So I don't have any projects. I'm waiting for everything to get back to normal so I can come out and sign autographs for you, Dom, and meet some more fans. And that's all I got going.
Right. Well, my final question for you was one that I ask everyone that I talk to. I'm going to put you on the spot, but I love hearing the answers. This one might be tough for you because you're not really a film buff. But if you could pick a dream actor to co-star in a film with you and a dream director to make the film, who would you pick? Now, they have to be alive, and they have to be people you've never worked with before.
Well, that's a lot of people. I guess. Well, I might as well just go. They have to be alive. Okay.
Yeah. Unless you have this. If you have this, then you can work with them. But I don't think you'd want.
Right. Let's just go for it. I mean, let's just do Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks.
Oh, that'd be a great movie.
It'd be a hit.
It would be. It would be.
Regardless of what I do in it. So there you go.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me, Kassie. It's always good seeing you. Always good learning a little bit more about you. And hopefully we can get back to doing this in person soon at a convention. All
right. Well, thank you so much, Dominic. And thank you all for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll do it again next time.
Yeah. And speaking of cons, the pandemic doesn't have to stop your con fun. You can book a one-on-one Zoom with Kassie, and we'll be doing those following this Q&A. And you can also get personally signed photographs and video greetings at fullempirepromotions.com. Thanks, Kassie. We'll see you in the Zoom in a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Turn it off.
She's one of the best people to talk to, guys. You can see she has great stories to tell. Thanks again to everyone who watched. I do hope we get to see each other in person at a con soon. We've got a few in-person events booked for later in the year, as well as private signings coming up with Evil Dead2 co-star Rick Domeyer. He's never done signing before. Well, one or two conventions, but he's a great autograph to have in your collection. And also Daniel Stern's doing a signing later this month. So to keep up with everything that's going on at Full Empire Promotions, please visit our site at fullempirepromotions.com and check us out on social media. If you have a Zoom meet and greet with Kassie, please click on that link in the email that we sent you when it's your session. And we'll see you soon. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time.